Pavitra, do you want to start off by giving us a little bit of background in how things are in a business newsroom?
Absolutely. So, actually, I want to start a little bit by telling you what I studied and that I have absolutely zero background in business. Okay. So, I was always that art student. I majored in history and I have no background in either business or in economics. I even dropped my math after 10th because I was just not interested. So, that is what my background is. And I didn't think that I would ever be interested in business news. But having been in the industry and in the system for 5 years, what I can tell you is that those things are not that important. It's not important that you have an MBA or a BCom or a master's in economics because what you get to do inside, it's more about your editorial content. It's more about how you prioritize news when you're a producer. And a lot of people, let me start with this misconception that a lot of people have about business news, which is that, there's general news on one side and there are all these newsrooms. And in a world far, far away, there is business news. And these two have nothing to do with each other, right? Everybody always thinks that. I was one of those people too. And that's why in fact, I even told Girish that I don't want to sit for the CNBC placement because, why am I going to do business news, right? So having been in the system, what I'll tell you is that any major news event that you can think of in our lives, okay, all of those have a major economic impact. It's all a cycle. So look at just like the past couple of months. We've seen COVID, we've seen excess rain and floods, we've seen the locust attack. All of these things have such major economic implications. So something like the locust attack, right? You would think this is a complete general news story. There's no need for a business news channel to get into it. Let me talk about like Punjab and UP and Haryana. So if there's a locust attack there, what does it mean? Your crops are destroyed, prices of your commodities will shoot up, companies who buy those commodities have to pay more, you as a consumer now have to pay more. In a time for global pandemic, when there are pay cuts, the economy is doing badly, you are paying 2 rupees more for that standard packet of biscuits, right? Now that is how business news decides to look at a story. This is just one of the ways, of course. So this is one big misconception that I feel a lot of people who join CNBC, who intern at CNBC and ask me, this is what I feel, they ask me about. So I definitely want to tell you that it's all one news cycle, and there isn't business news which is completely in isolation. That does not happen. The second part that I want to clarify is that a lot of people think that business news is a very glamorous job to be in, and a very, you will see people in like these pencil skirts and heels walking around the newsroom. Guys, it's not a glamorous job. There is nothing glamorous about getting up at 5 o'clock, putting on your makeup while you're reading the last night's news because, you don't want to look like an idiot on air, and then going and talking about it. And what you see on air is like a really tiny portion of your entire day, right? It's 1 hour. What are you doing the rest of the 10 hours is absolutely not glamorous. So please don't get into business journalism thinking that it's going to be like a fashionable, good looking job, because that's not it. But that's my experience and what I've learned at IIJNM first and then at CNBC. So Sangeeta, if you want to take any questions now.
Pavitra, do you want to talk about what stream you chose at IIJNM and how that was? Did it help
okay, so
to CNBC?
Yeah, so I chose broadcast journalism, and it was a huge help because IIJNM does have their own studio, right? Which I think is such a help to someone. It's like you get that experience before you even get to a newsroom. You have a studio with a proper like audio machine and a director and all of that happening. You get to anchor shows before. So in that way, if you know that you want to be in a broadcast or a TV newsroom, I highly recommend that you go for the broadcast stream because there's a lot that you will be equipped with before you even get into a professional setting. They teach you a lot of things like camera work, about how to talk on air, about the technical part of it as well. So you can also sort of figure out by the end of your course what way you're leaning. Like I knew, for example, that I do not want to get into like the technical side of it. I don't want to be handling a camera because like I was terrible at it. Okay. Like there's no easy way to say this. I was just bad at it. And I realized that, okay, this is not what I want to do. What I am interested in is the editorial side of things. I want to decide what goes on air or what should be in a 1 hour show or a 2 hour show or things like that. And these things help you because as soon as you join any newsroom or, whether it's print or TV or whatever, they will ask you which sort of part of it you want to be working in. And if I hadn't gone to IIJNM, I wouldn't even know, right, that I wanted to be a producer. I might as well have just been landed up at like some assignment desk or been a director where that's not what I wanted to do. So you'll have a pretty clear idea of which way you're leaning, what your interests are, and then you can ask for that role when you join any kind of newsroom.
Thank you, Pavitra. I'm sure that gave us a lot of insight onto why we need to explore roles so we know what we're getting into. Um, do you want to tell us about the structure of a TV newsroom? How does it work?
Okay, so a TV newsroom, there are like multiple teams working. Okay, so I'm going to take you through them. There's a bunch of producers, there are directors, there is an assignment desk, there are researchers, there's a digital team, of course. There's a ticker team, which is very important. You'll see like the ticker on the bottom of your screen all the time on any news channel. There's a PCR crew. For a TV newsroom, of course, you have hair, makeup, stylists, all of that separately. So these are all of the different things. When you graduate from IIJNM, the options that you have are either to become, of course, you'll join as a trainee, but like the divisions that you can be within are either a producer or a director, or you can work on the assignment desk, or you can work on the ticker desk, right? Now, assignment desk and I will say directing or any PCR shift is a more sort of technical job to have, right? You are not going to be deciding what goes on air. So if you are interested in that, I highly recommend you join as a producer, because that is when eventually, of course, you'll join as a news trainee, but eventually your role will be that of a producer once you spend a little bit time. If you are interested in the visual sort of part of how a channel looks, like which graphic comes where is like a window created and all of that, then you want to be a director. Of course, you have to work your way up. You're not going to join and immediately like become a director, but you will get there fairly quickly, right? A ticker team is someone who basically like, they are the people who have a lot of pressure on them to put everything out first, because sadly there is a lot of competition and everyone wants to say that, you know, they broke the story first, and that is what they do. They put any information, break it down into simple sentences and put it out there. The assignment desk is somebody who will sort of coordinate where your OB van is, where your guest is seated. Okay, there's a protest happening here. Let me send a cab here with like the camera to sort of get that visual for us. Those kind of things. So that is what I'm telling you. An assignment desk and a director or any PCR crew is a very technical sort of job to have. If you are interested in any kind of editorial aspect of things, then you want to produce shows.
And what are the responsibilities that a show producer needs to carry?
Okay, so you are given a time slot, like whatever time your show is. So a lot of shows have a fixed format. So you will say, okay, like you have to take 6 breaks. Okay, you can't compromise on that, because that's where all the revenue comes in from. You have to hit commercial at certain times. But now what you're going to say is that, okay, I'm going to look at all of the news that's been coming in since the morning and learn to prioritize that. So if I think I want to carry a story on COVID and there's a locust attack and there's like so much news happening every day. So you want to prioritize that. You want to put the important stuff at the top, which is something that you learn at even the IIJNM sort of, the broadcast that we do at IIJNM. It's called CityCast. And that is where you will learn. There's an editor every week and you learn how to prioritize news. So important stories at the top, and as you go lower, maybe less important stories. So for a TV newsroom, yes, you carry general news and a little bit of it, but for every story, while you do have to look at the economic impact. Now, something like a locust attack might be hugely important to a general news channel, and it will be for us as well, but it won't be my top story, right? Because I just feel like on any particular day that it has, at least so far, what I've seen in my experience, it has never reached the top slot because the economic impact is there, but it's not as much as, say, COVID, for example, right? So you just learn how to prioritize things. You say, okay, or if there's something happening on COVID, for example, I'll say, okay, I feel like creating one segment on COVID. I won't give my entire show to that. And see, maybe I can get a reporter from Delhi, one from Bangalore, one from Bombay, sort of go to these various facilities or talk to the BMC head and all of that. And then you plan your show like that. When you're a producer, you about an hour before you decide what you want on your show, and you send a run order out to the entire world. Okay, so you mark the assignment desk, you mark the directors, all of these people, and then they start acting on whatever you've decided. So if I've said, okay, I want a reporter from Bangalore, I want one from Bombay, then the assignment desk makes that happen, because I can't personally be calling up everybody, right? So you decide editorially what you want. If there's a guest, then you tell the anchor, okay, this is the guest. I want you to talk to him for 5 minutes, maybe 6. But after that, I will start talking in your ear and I will tell you to shut up. Okay, so that's how you decide what you should do editorially. And that's what the job of a producer is.
Thank you, Pavitra. And for those of us interested in aiming for an anchoring position, what would you say we need to do to prepare ourselves for it?
I would say read a lot, okay? Read a lot and read a lot of business news. When I joined CNBC, I was someone who would never read business news. And the first thing I was told is just read the Economic Times newspaper. And it was at a point where I would read it and I would not understand, okay? Because it's just the language that they use is not very easy. From experience, I can tell you, if you want to start reading business news, I think the Mint is a better paper for you to read. But my point is, start reading business news and be very, very aware of what's happening. You don't have to understand everything, but you should know majority of what happens, because if you're on air and if you are live and some news breaks, you better deal with it, because nothing will save you at that point. No one can like dash into the studio and help you at that point, right? And they are not going to put you on air unless they are absolutely confident that you can handle it. The second very important, most important thing, if I can say, Sangeeta, is probably what you teach at IIJNM. It's English if you're working in an English newsroom, Hindi if you're working in a Hindi newsroom. If you are more comfortable with Hindi, please work in a Hindi newsroom. If you're more comfortable with English, please work in an English newsroom. Your diction needs to be absolutely on point. Okay, I was told things like, you are not saying the you in quote enough. Things like that, which I am just like, no one can hear the you. But anyway, so and this is by no means to tell you that every anchor out there has the best diction, but if you are aiming and you know already, you know, like at the start of your term that you want to anchor, which I didn't know, if you know that, it will give you such a head start if you can just work on your diction. Read anything out loud, you know, read newspaper articles out loud. So work on that. Presentation is important, but there's a team to handle that. So don't worry about like your clothes and all that. It does not matter. There's a team to handle that, and that's their problem. I would say just work on your language, work on your diction, and work on being camera friendly. Okay, if you are not like that right now, you have the entire year, you know, to do that. A lot of times, you know, when I started anchoring, I feel like I would sit super straight and talk like how you've seen those Doordarshan anchors talk. Till someone really senior told me, hey, you're 25. Like, what is the issue? You can behave like a 25-year-old. You don't need to behave like that 60-year-old person on air. So after that, they want your personality to come through, right? They don't want everyone to look the same. So be easy on camera. If there's somebody else, if there's a co-anchor, you can talk to them. You can say, hey, good morning. You don't have to say, hi, good morning. I'm Pavitra Parekh. You don't have to do that. So I would say be easy, be friendly on camera. Nobody likes to watch like a completely straight-faced person. So it's okay if you're smiling a little bit more than the most senior anchor. You know, they've been doing something for 60 years. They might like it like that. You are allowed to do that. And they love that you are, you know, bringing like that element of youth into the channel, because let's face it, like most people who anchor business news channels are quite old, okay? And they're not our age. So it's refreshing for them when they have like a younger face. I'm guessing everyone who's joining over here, when you join, like you are going to be the youngest people, right, in the newsroom. So take advantage of that, have fun on air, and it's totally fine. Like in fact, I keep telling these people that you have made business news boring and we need to bring younger people. No one wants to watch someone in like a full suit sitting. So I also suggested to them that, you know, we should have a segment where it's just casual, like get in t-shirt and jeans and talk to people, because that will expand your viewership. So my only thing is be really, really good at language, read a lot, and your diction has to be on point.
Right. And how do you want to give us suggestions as to how we can go about that? How can I improve my diction, for example?
So I would say watch a lot of TV news, but please pick who you watch. I'm not going to take any names as to who not to watch and get into trouble like that. But whoever you admire, you know, look up to as an anchor, just watch their shows. I would say watch a little bit of international news, because I think they're way ahead of us. Watch BBC, watch Al Jazeera's videos. I think they are really good. And that's what I did, right, when I was practicing, because they have that more casual approach to anchoring as well. They don't feel like you need to sit completely straight and, you know, talk in one manner. So do that, read a lot of news. That's about it. I would say, you know, even if you are not reading just news, reading literature will help your vocabulary. And whatever a producer, so there is a teleprompter, right? And you will read what the producer is writing. But what about when you're talking to a guest? The producer can help you and say, okay, ask this, but ultimately you are going to be asking the questions. So you have to be sort of easy with the language, and yeah, just figure out what, whether you want to work in a Hindi newsroom, whether you want to work in an English newsroom. I see a lot of people who are not comfortable with English, for example, entering a business newsroom, and then they just find themselves lost. Like, it's terrible because there are great Hindi newsrooms in this country as well, right? And you can totally do that. There are several other regional languages. If you're comfortable in that, there is no harm in sitting for those as well. So yeah, that's my only thing. I think watch a lot of business news. I'm giving all of this advice, which I never took, but in hindsight, I really wish that, I had also done this. Kanchan did tell me, although, to be fair, that, you should be watching news and all. It's just that I didn't think I would want to anchor. So yeah, but in hindsight, these are the
News
things.
was when you were here at IHNM. Something
Oh
called
my God, it was the biggest pain. And I think I still borderline hate Nishad for it, but we did. We all woke up in the morning and like had to run for it.
Yeah, but you're all thankful at the end of it, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that definitely put us in the habit of reading news. I'm not going to say I didn't take the news for a couple of other people as well. Nishad doesn't know this, but
Uh, Pavitra, now how are you dealing with the pandemic? How is the workspace of a business newsroom during a pandemic? Are you working from home?
yeah. So the thing with a lot of newsrooms when they're in print and online, a lot of them have shifted completely to a home model, right? We can't do that. Any TV newsroom can't do that because that equipment that you have in the studio and in the PCR, it's impossible. So we, in fact, started working from home way before the pandemic, way before the lockdown, in fact, was announced. So we wanted to make sure there are one or two teams that are always disinfected and there is no chance of them having been in contact with anybody. So there would be one team at work for 1 week and then two teams at work who are just not in touch with anybody there, right? Because there have been such cases, and then you had to sort of evacuate the entire newsroom, disinfect. There have been times when we've sort of gotten 60 people tested because what if, but there is always one or two teams that are available to step in when, and they've not been in contact with any suspected COVID patients. So that is the way it works. As far as producing is concerned, I am able to produce shows from home because we have the software and stuff. They've provided that, and you can still, read and do all of that from home. Decide what you want in the show. For anchoring, we do have a studio where the anchor has to go. There are a few anchors who probably don't have the best health, and a couple of pregnant anchors as well. So we sort of installed the apps and stuff in their house and on their TV so that they can anchor from home. But for the most part, as far as anchoring is concerned, we're trying to do that from work, and producing happens from outside. You just have to be like doubly careful when you're talking about working from home in this setting, because I cannot afford a chance where there are no producers who are able to come in because they may have come in contact with a COVID person. So that is how we are dealing with it. There are a lot of technical glitches, you guys. For the few people who are anchoring from home, if you watch, they're having to do their makeup themselves. It's hilarious. They're like these 50-year-old guys who, when I call them, I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, just doing my makeup. What are you doing? So, these things happen, but it also sort of really brings an organization together. I just feel like there's nothing you can't get through when you're put in that position where you can't go off the air, right? We've been on air for 20 years. I can't not have a live show at 7 o'clock in the morning. That would be a disaster, and I don't think we can afford that. So then you sort of work around it. Maybe the quality is slightly lower because there are some anchors anchoring on Zoom, like we're having this chat, but for the most part, it's been okay.
Pavitra, I'm really curious to know if you want to share with us a memorable experience of you, probably your first anchoring, experience, or any story that you still remember to this day.
So Norman, okay, so actually when I was practicing to become an anchor, I was trying to read off the prompter, and that's what you're supposed to do. And someone has just gone on and played blasting Bollywood music in my ear, okay? And they have written the lyrics on the prompter. And that was like a test. They're like, okay, now you figured it out. So there was also a time when whoever was in the PCR, because you have a whole crew, right, to help you. Whoever was in the PCR just said, oh my God, there's breaking news, we're patching this phoner. And I have not even done my makeup because I'm just sitting there and I was just practicing. I was very new. But those things happen in real life, and I thought, okay, that's a great joke. But ever since I started answering, all of that has happened. The prompter just dies on you. There is suddenly breaking news. Your computer dies, so you don't have any news. All of those things happen, which is why I tell you, like, just read a lot and be prepared, because ultimately, yeah, like, yes, the channel will look bad, but so will you, right? And people remember these kind of things. It's very sad, but people remember it. And um, the audience is not like very kind all the time, so they're going to put on Twitter and like make jokes and stuff. So be very careful. I'm glad like it's not gotten to that point. But yeah, these are all like really memorable things that happened to me. I remember the first time the prompter went off, I was just like shocked. I was like, how is this happening to me? I was so new and I was like pissed off. But obviously, you still have to smile through it. There was another time when I had fever and they were trying to see if there's, another anchor who can step in. But since I did the morning show, it's at 7 o'clock, right? And there was no other anchor in the office. So you have to like suck it up and say, okay, like I have fever, but I am going to smile for the next hour and then I'll go, sort of try to feel better. But these things happen. So know that this is stuff that you will have to deal with. The prompter, the producer, the director, they can help you, but only so much. Ultimately, you have to be able to do it. Another thing I want to mention while we're on this anchoring topic, a lot of most people, who join, no one would be hired as an anchor or, as an anchor or even a reporter directly, right? So if you do want that, don't be afraid to ask for it, guys. A lot of people, I feel like, are sort of just waiting for it to come to them. When I joined, there were around 30 people who joined from different, journalism colleges, from IIJNM, from ACJ, from IIMC. And 90% of those people said we want to anchor. And the first thing that at our orientation we were told is that, guys, it doesn't work like that. You're not hired as anchors. So please don't expect that. It was a year later that they asked me to anchor, right? So please don't be afraid when they tell you things like this. Yes, all 30 people will not become anchors. I am not going to, put this and sugarcoat it and tell you that everyone will become an anchor. But if you want to put in the work, if you can put in the work after a 12-hour long day, if you say that, okay, I want to practice, they are not stupid to not want you on air, right? If someone is working hard, if they are good, it doesn't matter whether you're 23 or you're 30. There's no like minimum age. They will tell you things like you don't become an anchor at 23, but they will also call you out when you're 23 and say, please anchor for us if you're doing a good job. So don't be afraid to ask for it. If they come and ask you and, offer you that position, it's great. But if they don't, please go and tell them that this is what I want to do. And I would like an opportunity to sort of at least display my skills to you.
Do you start out by asking them what you can do to get prepped for when the time comes, when the spots open up, or how do you approach somebody?
So I don't think it, I mean, if most anchors at CNBC have been here for, for 10, 15 years, I'm not going to wait for a spot to open up. They have to create that spot, right? If I am good, they will create that spot for me. And that's what I feel. So luckily for me, they did come to me and they said, we would like to see if you can anchor. And, it's also a lot of money that the organization puts in. They have to keep an entire studio and PCR running for an hour every day so you can practice. They have to have a PCR crew that's just waiting around for you to practice. So it's a lot when they offer you that. Please take it very seriously. I see people like sort of just whiling away their time. It's not a joke. There are really, really senior people who sort of tell you that they're waiting around to sort of watch your tapes and see how you're doing. And it's not that hard, I always thought it would be tough and you're on air and it's like, it's not that tough at all. It's intimidating. Your first couple of shows will be a little like, you will be on edge. But after that, it's literally like you can do it with your eyes closed, you know that well. As far as you said, yeah, you can, I think you should definitely ask them what, you need to work on. So even when I recorded the first few of my tapes, I always ask them that, do you think this is good? Do you think I need to do some work on this or anything? So they'll tell you a lot of stuff. Maybe they'll tell you your posture is not, great. You need to sit straight. They'll tell you, okay, talk a little slower. So they told me things like, okay, this is a business news channel, but ultimately this is, a majority of the viewers are all Indians and they are not that fluent. So they want you to speak English a little bit slowly so you can understand, so they can understand you better. So things like that, which you would never have thought about. They would say, okay, you're using your hands, but your laptop is in front of it. So it looks like, you're just moving your shoulders, which is so weird. And these are things that, people who've been in the business for a long time will be able to identify. I would never have known, right? So definitely keep on asking them what you can do to sort of get there faster. And people want to help you. If they're good, they're not doing you a favor by saying, please anchor a show for us. You know, they're asking you because you are going to be an asset to them. So definitely ask them. People are quite helpful. Also, I think once you've been in the system for about a year and a half, you've been producing or whatever part of the system you're in, you understand how things work, right? If you are just going to be told that, okay, from tomorrow you're going to anchor, you're not even going to understand how things work. You're going to say, okay, can I get this guest? But it doesn't work like that. You have to have some prior notice. You have to send the guest some basic questions that this is what you want to talk about, things like that. So if you have worked, I would say for about a year, that's when I would suggest that you can maybe say that, okay, I want to anchor, and let's see how we can go forward with it.
Thank you, Pavitra. That was very illuminating. We have a couple of questions in the chat. The first one is from Amna. Amna, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to ask, how do you report spontaneous news as they are different from the planned ones, like budget or stock market crashing and these sort of stuff?
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned the stock market, because that is the one thing in business news that's very different from general news, right? We very, very closely track the stock market. So the rates for the stock market are always on air. Then, for example, whenever I have my laptop, I always have the rates open in front of me. So if I want to address any such news, the first place it breaks is the ticker, right? So the ticker team will flash it. That's also how the anchor sees it, because I can see what's happening on TV as well. I can see myself, and the anchor has to start talking about it. Now, if suddenly the stock market has crashed, and I'll try to sort of see what reasons, maybe Trump has quoted something, maybe the US markets have fallen, and as a result, the Indian markets have fallen. So ticker will flash it. I will pick it up from there. I'm going to start reading it. In the meantime, we have a guest coordination team, producers. They will all start trying to get me reactions, okay? So they will try calling market experts. If they will try calling economists, if it's a global related thing, if, for example, it's something that the US has done, we'll try to get a global market expert. If it's something COVID related, then, or, you know, there's been so much talk of this vaccine and stuff. So if the market has suddenly risen, a lot of it in the past few days has been because of hopes of a vaccine. So we'll try to get somebody from like Harvard to talk. So things like that. But at that point, the anchor has to take over and say that, okay, once you get that guest, you have to be able to talk to them. And that's when all of the news starts getting out. You have the ticker talking about it. You are talking about it. You have a guest on air. The guest team is sort of got new people. And then, you know, the producer takes a call that, okay, this news is important. So I want to get like 3 guests on it. Maybe they feel like, okay, I want only 1 guest on it. It's not that important. And I feel like 1 guest will do the job. So things like that, that's how you handle it. If there are protests, for example, when the CAA protests are going on or something, and you want to show visuals, all TV newsrooms have like an OB van or a live view or something, and they always send it to these locations. If I know that a protest is going to happen and it gets out of hand, then I can suddenly cut to those visuals. So you'll be seeing those visuals, and the person who's anchoring, they will sort of maybe talk on top of it and say that, okay, this is what is happening. I hope that answered it.
Basically, to be on
Thank
your
you so
toes.
much.
Is that it, Pavitra? You need to learn to be on your toes.
You need to.
As they come in. Shaurya, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
My question is, how was your experience at IIJNM, and how have you gone through business journalism through this course? During this.
Okay, so my experience at IIJNM was amazing. I still tell people it was probably one of the best years that I've ever had, and we miss it all the time. Our batch is still 5 years later so tight. So if you guys are just starting IIJNM, you guys are in for a treat. It's amazing. It's very hard, I'm not going to lie. It's a lot that you have to do in 10 months, but it has been one of the most wonderful years of my life. I sort of experienced things which I'd never ever experienced before. And to start off with this, like, I always find this really funny. When I came to IIJNM, I always thought I was someone who was interested in fashion. Okay, so I thought I would want to join Vogue or Elle or something. By the end of it, that investigative journalism course had happened to me, and I was convinced that I wanted to be an investigative journalist. So that is how much those 10 months can sort of change for you. Be really open to the experiences, because you are not going to get to do it. Even the kind of stories that I got to do at IIJNM, you will not be able to go to a newsroom outside in a professional setting and say, I want 2 weeks like we have for the taluks and that to do this one story. No one is going to give you that other than this college. So please make use of this time. I feel like I did a reasonable job there, and I sort of well, what I did there is completely different from business news, but that's a different story. I would just say that use this time really well. Even those beat days when you go out and you try to look for a story, the kind of stories that you can do when you're in college and the kind of guidance that you will get from everybody is just unmatched. Okay, like I feel like a lot of the staff and the people who are teaching at IIM are in a much better place when news is concerned than a lot of senior people you will meet in any newsroom. So please take full advantage of them. They might give you grief, they will give you grief, but it will be well worth your time, and just make sure that you're going after the stories that you really, really want to do. As far as business news is concerned, I was not interested in business news. Okay, there's a business news elective at IIJNM, and I did not even sit for that. I don't know this. It was just not my thing, and I was not planning to sit for the CNBC placements either. And Girish was also on this call, sort of forced me, and he said, just please sit. And if you don't like it, don't join, but sit. And I joined CNBC. For the first 5 months, I thought I'm going to quit every day. I thought I would just go and quit because I didn't understand it. I didn't find it interesting. It made me feel almost stupid, which, like, I don't think I'm stupid, okay? So it was a lot. And it's been over 5 years now. I didn't think about the last 5 months. But yeah, so my only sort of advice to you, just be open to all of these experiences. Even if you're not in some class, feel free to go and sit in that class and just listen. It will give you a good idea of what you want to do. And yeah, that's about it. Does that help?
Kritika, do you want to ask your next question? Kritika,
Hello.
go on.
Yeah,
Hi.
ma'am. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I wanted to
Hi.
ask that there are different speaking styles and abilities we need to keep in mind when we are reporting or we are anchoring. So, how can we improve that? Because I have no idea how to do that.
Then you're exactly like me, because I had no idea at all when I joined IIM as well. I'm glad that you're at least thinking on these lines, right? I started thinking on these lines after I graduated and after I joined CNBC. So you definitely have an advantage if you're already thinking about it. IIGNM has their own studio where there are two anchors every week who sort of put out the bulletin. Make sure you use that space well. Make sure you use that studio. Try talking to a camera. Become really easy with the camera. See, like 1 year is a lot of time. Okay, 1 year. Imagine if every week you're sitting and talking to a camera. It doesn't even have to be in the studio. You can just sort of put on your phone, put on the video camera, and just talk to it and see. And you yourself will understand if you're looking stiff, if you are not saying some words clearly. If, for example, your sentences tend to fade off towards the end, like your volume is sort of just going lower and lower as you end the sentence, you will be able to identify all of these things and start working on them. So that is definitely one thing that you can do. The other thing is identify the people on TV who you think talk really well. So if you think that someone from BBC talks well, then listen to them. If you think someone from CNBC talks well, listen to them. So just listening to how they are, their body language, how they move, all of that. Having said that, please don't try to imitate anybody because it really comes across. Okay, if you feel like you're someone who's okay to sort of use your hands a lot, go ahead and do that, but you don't have to do that. If you feel like you would much rather sit in one place and that makes you more comfortable and talk, that is completely fine as well. You are such a young person, so if you want to bring like a more youthful angle, like I was talking to news, please do that, because that, believe me, will be your biggest advantage. Okay, people get bored watching people head to toe in a suit and talking with a straight face. So have fun with it. A lot of people think news is always very, very serious and someone with a deadpan face has to be presenting it. I cannot disagree more with them on that. So just be easy with the camera. I know that's easier said than done, but just start recording yourself. Start recording yourself reading the newspaper, and you will understand that, okay, this is what I need to work on. These are what my strengths are, and that will help you. And of course, like I said, be very, very, very abreast with all of the news that's going on, because there will be breaking news on an everyday basis, and you will have to deal with that.
Thank you, Pavitra. The next question from Swagata, I think you've already answered a bit, but Swagata, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Hi,
Yes.
Pavitra. I
Hi.
want to ask what is the exact nature of job a fresher is offered in a business newsroom, one who wants to
Okay.
become an anchor, and what was your first role in CNBC? Thank you.
Okay, so I joined as a news trainee. Everybody who joins from any of these journalism colleges will join as a news trainee. Now, to be very honest, if you join and on day two you tell them that I want to anchor, you are not going to get it immediately, right? So I suggest that initially you sort of learn to do your whatever role you are in, whether that's directing. So like I said, you get into the PCR side of things, which is directing and audio and all of that, or you join the assignment desk, or you become a producer, or you work on the ticker desk, right? Most people sort of become producers, okay, because that's where there's a need for more people. The ticker desk has like one or two people. Most people become producers. And in the beginning, guys, I don't want to sort of paint a very pretty picture and tell you it's quite hard. It's a lot of, like when you watch business news, so there isn't that much footage or visuals, right? So there's a lot of graphics that go on. There are bytes that we play. So someone new would normally be told to cut bytes. They would be told to sort of make the graphics. Now I might write that, okay, this is what I want on air at this time, and someone will come and make that, right? Like physically make that and put it so that it can fire on air. Even for a byte, I think initially when you join, your judgment may not be up there, right? So if I listen to a 30-minute interview and I'm like, okay, this is a 30-minute Raghuram Rajan interview, I want to play 3 minutes of it. I should be able to look at that interview and say, okay, these three minutes are what I think are important, and I will tell that to somebody who's maybe quite new, and they can help me physically cut it, and then that will play on air. Slowly, you will, after news trainee, you will become an assistant producer, then you'll become, an associate producer, and it progresses like that. Uh, I would say in about a year, things work very fast, okay, in this newsroom. The average age is also quite young. Of course, a few of the very senior people are much older, but the average age is quite young in a newsroom. So maybe 1.5 years into your job, you could be producing a show. Your title on paper might not be producer, and there will, of course, be help. There will be people sort of watching over and sort of making sure everything is okay. And if you need help, that you have it. But this is how it works. And after, I think, about a year and a half, you can have some amount of editorial control over your show.
Thank you, Pavitra. Pooja, you have an interesting question to ask.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Hello, Pavitra ma'am.
Hi, please don't call me ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Okay, my question was, do you find any major difference between the business news channels that we have in India and the ones that we have in abroad?
Yes, I do. And I would just say that the business channels we have abroad, even if you look at CNBC abroad, it's very clutter free, right? If you open the CNBC channel and you're just watching over here, you will see 10,000 things going around. You will see the market rates, you will see what the guest is saying, you'll see a big topic, all of that. And this is something I actually raised with the very, very senior management. And I told them, I don't think this is like such a aesthetically pleasing way to have the channel operate. And their argument, which I now quite understand, is that the Indian viewer is not that advanced. They want everything. They want the market rates here. They want gold and silver prices here. They want to know what the guest is talking about. So in that way, visually, the channel is different. Another thing that I did mention before as well is the way that we anchor, right? And this is not just about, even the previous point that I said is not just about business channels. It's just news channels in India versus abroad. I think if you look at any channel abroad, it's just very clutter free. The story is playing. You have one topic to tell you what is going on, and that's it. You don't need to have 10,000 things on air. In India, it is a little bit different. I do feel like there are a lot of people who sort of agree that, maybe you need to have all of that information. Even as far as anchoring is concerned, I would say in the States or in Canada, wherever like these channels are, those are the ones that I mostly watch. I would say that they have a much more ease, when they're on air, because they agree to treat it as not the most important thing in the world. It's not something that you have to sit in one place and just talk continuously about. So be easy on air. That is what I think Indian channels don't do as much. And I think if you watch anyone in the US, you'll just feel like they're having a chat, with their co-anchor, which is what we're trying to do in India. And that's what I'm telling you, like if you guys are at IIJNM and you are using the studio, try to make it very casual, okay? Don't try to sit up straight and talk. Just make it casual. Have a chat with whoever you are with. That's what I think people in the West are doing right.
Thank you, Pavitra. Before we move to the next question, I want to ask you one, if I might.
Of course.
How do you deal with guests and interviews? Is there a Have you had difficult guests? How do you deal with them as an anchor?
So there are guests who basically, there are times when you say that, okay, I want to talk to this guest, and they'll say, okay, we'll talk to you, but you can't ask so and so and so and so and so and so. And that is the very reason that we are calling you on air. This is not like some PR agency where we are calling you to brag about your company. I want to ask you those 3 tough questions, and you've just told me that I can't. So there have been situations where, you put them on air and then you try to ask those questions. In any case, they do avoid sometimes. So you press a couple of times. But beyond that, if they answer, it's fine. You always have to be the bigger person, okay, on TV. Like someone could be really rude to you. You can't sort of have a fight. You don't want to be that channel, right? You don't want to shout at a guest. So you have to sort of say, okay, you are going to maintain your composure. This person is not answering what I want to. This person is probably not being the nicest to me, but I'm going to sort of smile it away and talk to them nicely in any case. And that's how I think your organization will sort of look a little bit better.
Thank you, Pavitra. That answers my question. Moving to Roshini. Roshini, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Hello? I can see that you put your mic on. Maybe it's malfunctioning. Do you mind if I read it out? Yeah, Pavitra, she wants to ask you about the stigma that surrounds TV media and how toxic it is. She wants to ask you if you've had experience dealing with it in your workplace.
I think this is a really good question. It's unfortunate. The kind of pressures that you will see in a TV newsroom are unmatched. Okay, guys, everything is live. I work in the markets band, which means there are no empty slots in between. We are live from 7 o'clock to 4:30 at least before we take any kind of break, right? There is immense pressure and everybody is working under that pressure. Someone might say something to you in the heat of the moment. You might say something to them in the heat of the moment. It happens, but it's not something that anyone ever remembers. Okay, like they are going to forget about it. Don't take it to heart. Don't take it personally. Some senior person might come and yell at you suddenly for some mistake that you have done, and they will not even remember it after 30 minutes because someone else has made some mistake. Okay. Having said that, of course, I don't think it's okay. I try it. I mean, I'm not someone who shouts anyway, but I quite make it a point to sort of talk to the team rather than, and maybe after the show is over, rather than shout at anybody. I don't think that's correct. But of course, I'm not going to go and tell people who are 20 years into the system that you should do the same. There are toxic people in not just TV, in every organization. Okay, there are toxic people in every organization. Having said that, this is an extremely high pressure job. This is the highest pressure job that you will see within journalism, right? Because if there is some story, for example, in print, I can always say, okay, this news is broken. I need it tomorrow morning. I have those many hours. I have a couple of seconds here, you guys, and I have to get it right. There are sometimes guests that you are trying to get and your rival channel is trying to get, and things go out of control. So there are people who I've seen who don't feel like this is okay. There are people who sort of tend to get very anxious in these situations. Give it 6 months, you will be immune to everything. You will be immune to it. I also feel like you sort of get wired in that way to sort of work really fast, and it becomes a part of you. Sometimes, when I'm walking, I just feel like I'm walking so fast for no reason because you're just used to doing everything fast. So I won't deny it. TV newsrooms can be toxic. I've fortunately not had any such majorly toxic experience. Yes, there are a couple of people who shout more than required, but that exists everywhere.
It's the burden of every workplace. Thank you, Roshni,
yeah, exactly.
for that question, and Pavitra for answering it. Ashutosh and Swati are next. Ashutosh, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, hello, good morning, ma'am.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone. And so my question to you is, when you are on air and some news which have no idea of, like you told that you need to have idea, but let's say unfortunately the news you have no idea of break, what can be done at that time? What do you do at that time?
Ashutosh, I thank my stars that this has not happened to me yet. and it is my worst nightmare. But that is why I'm telling you guys, read, okay? I don't want anybody to ever be in that position, because I've been at the producer end of this as well, right? When you're producing a show, you have an anchor on air, you're telling them that this news is broken and they have no clue. But worst case scenario, the producer will send you some stuff. They'll say, okay, this is the topic. It has happened in the past when I've been producing a show. There's also a ticker team, right? So they keep flashing like what the big news is. So if the market has crashed 250 points, first of all, if you're at CNBC and the market goes down 250 points, suddenly you better know. Otherwise, you have no business being on air. But if for chance, for some weird reason you don't know, there's a ticker team which will be flashing the news. So you can sort of pick up on that. And slowly, in that meantime, while you're reading that out, you're reading a couple of the other flashes that are at the bottom of your screen. Someone will help you. The producer will send you some stuff. They're also always in your ear, right? So the producer and director can talk to you while you're on air, and they can tell you that, okay, this guest is there, this news is there. They'll tell you, okay, this is like the lowest level we've seen in the past 8 months. So you can sort of start talking like that. But the situation that you're describing right now, it's like stressing me out thinking about it. So luckily that's not happened, which is I'm telling you, read a lot. Worst case scenario, your producer will come to your rescue. Which is why if you're a producer, also read a lot and make sure you know everything, because your anchor might like do this, pull this kind of stunt, and then you'll have to help them.
Swati, do you want to ask your follow-up question?
Yeah, hi Pavitra.
Hi.
So my question was, as a news anchor, how much freedom do you have in a newsroom? Like while you're covering up a story, or always you have to abide by the script and what is written?
No, so you will have like a basic lead, which is what the producer writes. And I feel like I can talk about both sides. So even as a producer, like I would write a certain amount of things, but if there is a guest interview, for example, then that's on the anchor, right? They have to sort of ask the guest questions. I'm not going to keep on writing every question on the prompter and dealing with them. So I'll write a basic introduction, say that, okay, this is the background, this is the person who's joining us and we're talking to them about. After that, the anchor has to sort of take it forward. At CNBC, you have a team of researchers, right? So in business news, you track different sectors. So for example, someone will track autos, someone will track metal, someone will track pharma. Now, if there is a big pharma interview, which is scheduled, so whoever the pharma researcher is, they will send a mail to the entire office saying that, okay, this is the background, this is like some questions you could ask. These are all suggestions. But other than that, when you're on air, you can ask the guest what you want. So it's a lot of freedom in that sense. But as a producer, you also have to make sure that your anchor knows what to read. Now, they may or may not read that. Ideally, it's better if you do, at least in the beginning, read what the producer's written, because that's mostly sort of written in good language. It's sort of, well thought out and put together. And it's better than someone just going on there and sort of saying the first 3 sentences that come to their mind. But other than that, as far as asking questions is concerned, the anchor's free to ask whatever they want.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Pavitra. We have another 10 minutes in the webinar. My question is, do you miss reporting?
So I've never reported after sort of graduating, but I do sort of wonder what it would have been like if I'd sort of gone down that path and sort of maybe joined a print or an online place and done some investigative work. Because I was convinced, okay, at the end of my term, I had done this story, which I'm sure now no one will find very impressive, but at that point I thought it was great. And I'd gone through my fair share of trouble to get it. I also took the investigative journalism elective at IIJM, and I felt like, okay, I found what I wanted to do. And I feel like maybe now I've become like this TV person now, but I still feel like maybe at some point I would like to do some nice story. I don't feel like I'm interested in reporting on everyday affairs and things like that. Like I find that's a little, it doesn't excite me. But if like there's like one of those pieces that you can sort of go into long term and research it and stuff, I would love to do it.
I heard from my colleagues that you did a really good project on the sand mafia while you were here.
Yeah, I did. It was that was the. So when we went to the Taluk, right, we had that 1 week in the Taluk, and I went there and I sort of found someone who was illegally mining sand, and we managed to record him, of course, like shadily, but it was quite bad. Like the investigative professor at that time, Charles, he told me like, get the hell out of there. You don't want to be in the middle of this. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. This guy was like pulling out bags of cash from under his bed and all. I don't think he like. Of course, I wasn't doing this for an organization. I was doing this for IIJNM, but it was quite the first investigative story to do. I also did one on like illegal abortion pills and stuff. So I went and bought abortion pills which are not meant to be sold without a prescription. Nicely has handed it out to, I was 9. Everyone has easily just handed it out to like a 19-year-old with no prescription, nothing. So that was another fun one to do. Someone is asking, are you friends with Shireen and Miss Lata? Yes, Shireen and Lata are lovely, and they've actually, I always say this, they're amazing mentors to have. Lata looks like super serious and stuff on air, but she is like the most chilled out person. She will call you Rani all the time. She's like that. Okay, Shireen sits in Delhi, so I've met her, of course, whenever she's in Bombay and chill with her then, but not as much as with Lata. And Lata is amazing. Like I talk to her on an everyday basis. She's also someone who knows everything, okay? And I don't mean about just business news. She knows everything about all kinds of news. And it's so nice to have these kind of mentors to look up to. And they're amazing. These are the people that I feel like, it's like sort of make CNBC what it is.
Thank you, Pavitra. I think Kritika, we can finish up with Kritika's question. Kritika, do you want to unmute yourself and ask that question?
Yeah, so many a times that there are news which are like neglected, which is of greater importance, and some news that is of lesser importance is telecasted on TV because of TRP. So our conscience doesn't allow that, but then we need to do that. So is there any way to change that or to help ourselves do whatever they want us to do?
Okay, so to be very honest with you, the scope for this happening in business news is a lot less, which is why I feel like I like the business news space, because a lot of times I see what's happening on general news channels and I'm not in agreement with it. Like you said, it sort of weighs on your conscience, and it will weigh on mine too, right? Like just putting out something that you don't agree with. Having said that, if you're a producer, it is your job to make what you feel known, okay? You are in charge of the editorial content of the show. So if you feel like there is a piece of news which we've neglected, like the Assam floods, for example, if that were to happen in Delhi, every news channel would be carrying it, right? But over here, since it's in Assam, no one really cares and no one's putting it out. But if you feel like, okay, you've noticed that this is happening, please make it known. Tell people that, okay, I think we should do a segment on this. I think we should get like one reporter to do this. Tell them how you want to handle the news, because that is your job, right? You are deciding editorial content. Maybe if you're very new and someone doesn't want to agree with it, they might say, no, it's not happening. 2 years down the line, when you're doing your own show, no one will tell you not to do it. So that is why I tell you, like, be someone who reads a lot and you know everything. So you're also watching all the shows, and if you are doing like a 12 to 1 o'clock show, you know that, okay, till 12 o'clock today, we've not covered anything about the Assam floods, and why haven't we? So then you can say that, okay, I want to do this and I'm going to give one segment on my show to it. Chances are that you will be able to do it.
Thank you, Pavitra. Thank you for telling us that business news does not exist in a vacuum, and that anchoring is not as glamorous as we see that it is on TV. Also for throwing light on what we need to do in order to get into a newsroom and how we need to approach people. Thank you for telling us how to deal with breaking news, and especially for sharing your experiences at IIJNM. I'm told that you were a brilliant student to have, and I can see that already.
Oh wow, they never told me that.
Do you want to give us any closing remarks?
I would say all the best to you guys. Enjoy that 1 year, you guys. It does not come back. Really take advantage of the faculty that you have there, of the equipment, of the studios that you have there. You are not going to get that kind of opportunity if you're just starting out. I'm so excited for you guys to do this. I'm very surprised no one asked me about any money questions. This is so funny to me, because everyone who sort of joins is always worried about it. But then again, no one becomes a journalist to earn a very fat paycheck. So that's what I would tell you. One more thing that I want to mention very quickly while we're on this money subject is that a lot of people I saw from my batch in the very first year, they would every 3 months move from one organization to the next, trying to get that 20% raise. It works, guys. They got that 20% raise 4 times in 1 year, but you will never have that kind of hold over a newsroom, okay? If you want to say that I want to make these editorial decisions, they're not going to trust someone who's been in the system for 2 months. Like you just asked me if you think there is some news which has been neglected. They're not going to take someone's advice who's been there for 2 months and they know might bounce again in 2 months, right? So if you're in a newsroom, if you've been there for a while, you sort of get that hold over a newsroom, learn to trust you. Yeah, you might not have, gone to 6 different newsrooms and gotten 6 different phrases, but you will be in a much better position as far as being a producer is concerned.
Thank you, Pavitra. I'm sure that is something that we needed to hear.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the participants for attending and asking such brilliant questions. Our next webinar will be on investigative journalism, conducted by Sharad Vyas, who was a senior investigative journalist and has worked with the Hindu, Midday, and the Times of India. I hope to see you all in the next webinar. Until then, have a great week. Bye, Pavitra.
Thank you. Bye. See you.